Hi everyone, and welcome to this very brief discussion on a few ideas about sandwich effects. They are some of the most common tricks that we as magicians are used to perform, and so I thought this was a good chance to share with you my thoughts and approaches on this particular plot. I will start by pointing out the main concept that I always talk about whenever other magicians ask me about sandwich tricks and my thoughts on this plot. After that, I will briefly show you a couple of ways in which I do perform sandwich tricks. Let's get to a sandwich scenario. You usually have the two red aces, or two jacks, two queens, two kings, whatever they are. I have the two red aces here. And they're going to trap one single card, one selection. Ideally, it's controlled to the top. Now, what I see many magicians do at this stage is do this, taking one card, taking the other one, showing front and back, dragging one on top, and doing all these actions. And I believe that there's a lot of over-proving into that. We spend a lot of time amongst magicians in learning why we shouldn't over-prove things, why we shouldn't say explicitly that this is a normal deck of cards, why we shouldn't prove too much that what we are doing is fair. The things that you have to show are, I have two cards, the card number one is, the card number two is, that's it. So if you can frame your actions in such a way that step by step you're showing this and no more than that and no more than once, then your actions will be structured in a better and more natural way. So this is the way. I just say, I'm going to use these two cards. So there's the ace of hearts and the ace of diamonds. I'm going to leave these two cards down here. It's so simple, yet in my experience, it has changed a lot my confidence when performing this effect. Now it's very easy to do. The two cards are on top. The selection is third from the top. So what I do is I drag the first one in this fashion. I drag the second one on top. I turn both of them over, but I turn them over in such a way that they only get to see the face of one single card, because the second one is here. I now have secured a break on bottom of the packet of three cards I have on top, so the two red ace in the selection. And the way I simply get the break is very simple, is I peel one, I peel the second one, and now the third one is automatically dragged to the side because of the friction of the cards. So when I pull it back, I insert my pinky in there. Now I show these cards are two. I turn them over as one. And then what I do is I insert my right hand here, gripping a packet of three cards. And with the thumb, I peel just the top card, maintaining the rest as a double. This is a double because this is two cards. I show the two cards, I put them together, and then you can go into any kind of sandwich routine you like to perform. Okay? Now again, I know that what I'm stating here is just a 1% of the entire sandwich routine you might have been working on, or you might have learned days ago, you might have performed for years. But in my experience, considering these aspects and slightly tweaking these little motions have changed a lot the way I perceived my routines and the way I felt confident in front of the audience. Okay? So that being said, let me demonstrate, let me teach you a sandwich routine that I really like. So this is the routine. You just say stop. Let's say you say stop right here. In this case, after the ace of hearts, now you're going to see a card. And the card is the jack of diamonds, okay? We'll just leave the jack right over here in full view. And then I will also use the two cards that come right after. In this case, there's the nine of diamonds and the six of clubs. Doesn't really matter what they are. Let's just leave them on top for now. Now watch what happens. Because in the moment I square these cards, you can see that everything is fixated to this exact location. But in one move, I will get your card to travel. Okay? Don't blink. Just like that. You see? Now, there's no card right here. And in between the nine of diamonds and the six of clubs, there is just one card, which is your jack of diamonds. there it is. This is a sandwich routine that I really, really love. I'll quickly tell you the method of this and a few things about it. I really love it because it's not just the two cards visually trapping a card or trapping a card in any way. It's the two cards used into a bigger frame of a card melting through the pack. And I believe that having that image of a card melting through the pack as you spread is so cool and so magical. And so I figured I had to share this with you. So here it goes. The deck is shuffled and you just say stop at any point. As you say stop, I split the pack right here and I position the top half over there. Now what I do is, I'm showing you the selection, but I'm doing a quadruple lift. And I know this might scare some of you, but it's not that difficult. And you have all the time in the world to set this up, because you stop here and you say, right, so you stop at the Ace of Hearts. We're just going to use the next card to come right after. Now what I do is I personally do a pinky count of 4 cards. So as I put down the cards, just like so, I'm in this position, I'm pinky counting 4 cards. And then I'm already good to go by showing you the 6 of spades, which is card number 4 from the top. If you can't pinky count, you can riffle on the back until you feel you have 4, or you can just say, we stop right here. We're just going to use some of the next cards, but first, let me show you the one that you've selected. This is very easy because this allows you to have a reason to spread the next cards and then to square and to obtain a pinky break underneath 4. Let me show you again. Just say stop. Stop right there. You stop me at the Ace of Hearts again. We're just going to use some of the next cards, but first, let me show you the one you've selected. In this case, it's the 6 of spades. Now, I'm doing a Stuart Gordon double lift because I love it. You can also do like a normal double turnover like so, quadruple turnover in this case. And so you show the 6 of spades, you move the indifferent card right here. Now the 6 of spades is third from the top. And if you notice, you're now in the ideal situation to perform the sandwich load we've just discussed. So you just use these 2 cards and you load the card underneath, in between the king and the 7, okay? Just like that. Let me show you again. You have these 2 cards and you have the 7 and the king. Now the card is loaded in between. I put this packet here. I can show these 2 cards and putting them on top. Now, depending on the condition of the cards, you can put them gently, just like this, because maybe you don't feel like they like this one keeps being squared and maybe you want them to be super aligned, or you're a bit bold like me and you put them down like that, and then you can adjust the position of these cards. And this is very nice. This is a very gentle touch because it really feels like you have only 2 cards because you're being very gentle with your fingers, blah, blah, blah. And now if you spread, this is a very old principle. This card is tapped in such a way that when you spread, because this card is side jogged, it gets covered by the spread itself. And so if I spread, you see the card is down here, but you can't see it because it's covered by the rest of the spread. And this card is now actually exposing in its full view, and so you can reveal it. A couple of additional thoughts on this. Number 1, it fools magicians too, because they never think you're about to do a quadruple lift, and so they get a bit fooled when they see that you turn over the card and then you go into the sandwich load. And the second thing is, I personally love to use just 2 random cards to catch the selection and not 2 specific cards like the 2 red aces or the 2 red kings or whatever. I just feel like using the 2 cards that you've just landed to, it makes the routine way more natural and way more as if you were really doing your thing for real. Because hey, I have 2 cards, let me show you this. It's not, I really need these 2 cards, but it's any 2 cards, any card you want. Let me melt it right through the spread of cards in front of you. It's cool, isn't it? So let me show you an alternative routine as well as an alternative sandwich load, which allows you to avoid the quadruple lift. It doesn't make it way easier than that, but still, it's not 4 cards. So let me show it to you. Let's say you say stop right here. We're just going to use 1 single card on top. So in this case, we'll go with the 3 of hearts, okay? And we'll just leave it just right there. Along with 3, we're also using the 2 cards that come right after. So we have the Queen of Clubs and the Jack of Clubs. They will do a perfect job. So don't keep your eyes off your card as well as these 2. Because I know they look like 2 cards, but they can actually create a really powerful optical illusion. Because on this side, they look like 2. But every time you turn them over, well, I'll just show you. Because every time you turn them over, they actually become 3. And now this card in between clearly shouldn't be in here, so you could just make it the card you want. So whatever card you're thinking of, that's going to be your card. And so you name it, and this is now your card, the 3 of Hearts. And of course, this card shouldn't be in here. It's an invisible card, it's an impossible card. And so as quickly as it came, it just disappears just like that. And then the 2 cards are ready to start again. Now this final vanish, I can't teach it because it's in my project The Surface Below. You can check it out on illusionist.com. But the rest I can. So they say stop. And now I'll also tell you about the alternative load. With the alternative load, you have to do a triple lift, not quadruple lift, but 3 cards. I know it's still a bit more difficult than doing a double, but still, it's not that difficult, you know? So again, I'm using a pinky count to get ready for my triple lift. I can also do the added execute, which is I'm going to use the cards that come right after. But first, let me start with your selection. I just turn over the selection, 3 of spades, and I put down a random card. Now the 3 of spades is second from the top. And so what I do is I say I also use the 2 cards that come right after. So I turn over the top one. And as I do, I take a pinky break on the bottom of the second card, which is the selection. So I turn it over. Now the 2 cards on top of the break are aligned, so I can take them as 1. And then I can turn over the other one by showing 2 cards very easily. And this fits the context and the requirements that we have discussed at the beginning with the sandwich load. You say there are 2, you show the first one, you show the second one. You don't overproof, you don't overshow, but you only have 2 cards. Now you square all the cards together, and with your fingers on the bottom, you drag the bottom card in such a way that you can show the 2 backs of the 2 cards. You put the rest on top, just like that. You square this, and now you're good to go. And again, I love creating a framing, a context for the sandwich routine to happen, which goes beyond the very fact that these 2 cards in some magical way can catch a card. I do believe that it's way more powerful and memorable for the minds of the audience to create an image that will stick and will help them remember the trick, associate the trick to an actual magical moment. So whether the cards meld to the pack or the cards appear on the other side, I do believe that creating a lovely imagery and the frame for the magical moment to happen helps your audience to connect with your magic in a very powerful way. So that's what I do. The card is here, and then you reveal it. And that's it. And then if you want that vanish, the surface below. That's where it is. Yeah, so that was all I had to say. I figured this was a nice chance to sit down and have a quick chat with you about sandwich routines, the key points that I think make them powerful, and a few examples on actual routines that I do perform. So please remember the load. Using random cards, I do believe, makes the routine different, hopefully, and maybe more natural than using 2 specific cards, but I'll leave this to your preference, of course. And creating a magical context, frame for your routines and your magic to happen. And yeah, so that being said, take care and go out performing magic. That's what you need to do. Bye.